So Misen can make a decent pan. Can they make a decent knife? Hi, I'm Jed. This is Cook Culture. So Misen sent me a bunch of knives and I did a review on their pan. The pan was pretty good. I liked it for what it was. They were really happy. They're like, hey, can you check out our knives? I'm like, yep, sure, send me some knives, I'll check them out. So I've been selling knives for 28 years. I've sold all different types of knives, and knives have evolved over time. When I first started selling knives, we didn't have Japanese knives on the market. It was all just straightforward French style knives made in Germany, France, and a few other places. And the way in which knives have changed has been tremendous. German knives have changed dramatically because of Japanese, and Japanese makes a good knife for the Western market. So when Misen sent me their knife, I was interested. It's a Chinese-made knife, and that interests me because I've actually been following the progression of some kind of mass market Chinese-made knives for a while, and what they're doing is pretty awesome. There's some really, really nice blades coming out of China. They're using steel from different places. Either they're getting steel from Germany, they're getting steel from Japan, and they're doing an excellent job. So I was, open to giving it a try. And what I wanted to do was actually compare it against, a good old workhorse, and that is the Zwilling Pro. So Zwilling Pro makes, really the benchmark of a standard German blade. It has evolved, as I said, over the years. The Zwilling Pro doesn't have a full bolster anymore, or really a bolster at all. And it's all about getting up and using a pinch grip on the knife and not coming to the end of the bolster and holding the knife in this position. So getting up on the knife and really being more connected to the blade. So Zwilling Pro, like I said, the benchmark, you can't go wrong. The quality of the German steel, the manufacturing, the balance, the pricing, everything about a Zwilling Pro is absolutely point on. It's a tremendous knife, easy to maintain, just does everything you want. It's got a beautiful balance of being, as delicate as a Japanese, but working as hard as what you need a Western to. So I really can't fault a Zwilling Pro in any way. So that's why I wanted to compare it to a Misen and, see how does it stand out. German-made steel, one of their top-end knives, and a Chinese-made knife that is more of a mass production. They try to come in at a lower price point, and we'll see how it compares. So initially, when you take it out of the box, Misen do a nice little job on giving you a little infographic on the card, which is nice. It's nice that a knife comes with a little bit, at least a basic amount of information. It just talks to you about the things that you should do to care and the things that you shouldn't do. A simple way to hold the knife. You really wouldn't want to go from nothing to using a knife just from this card, but it's a nice reminder of the things that you should and shouldn't do with a knife. So kudos to Misen for doing that. And it comes with a decent little carded box, which makes it a nice experience for when you get it. So I'm going to simply cut up an onion in a very simple way. I'm not doing any fancy dicing or slicing because I believe that most people that are going to be buying a Misen are just cooking. You're just cutting stuff. You're not trying to be a professional chef. You're just getting dinner made. So I'm gonna do an absolute basic dice and just call it super simple. 50% of the onion I'm gonna do with Misen, and 50% of the onion I'm gonna do with the Zwilling Pro. Okay, so both of these knives are brand new, absolutely brand new, right? So the Misen is a tiny bit longer, I'd say 1/2 inch. So what I'm gonna do, cut this guy in half, and we will process with the Misen first. And like I said, I'm gonna do just a really, really, really simple dice. So, you know, just first go with it. It works as a knife. You know, I wouldn't say it's spectacular. It's not like picking up a Japanese blade, you know, something really super crazy sharp. But you know, it does the job. It feels good. The balance is really nice, and you know, it performs exactly as expected. So I'm happy with how out of the box that knife works. So feeling in my hand comparatively to the Misen, you know, they have a nice balance. It feels good. I'm comfortable right away. You know, it's got a tiny bit of a hook, just like the Zwilling Pro, that, you know, I don't go close to it, but it is there, you know, to stop you from it going too far forward. Yeah, so I'm totally fine with the Misen. So Zwilling Pro. Okay, so initial first cut, it just has a little bit of a nicer feel through the onion. So just the way in which it drops through, it is a sharper blade. It comes sharper. This is just more effortless. There's no doubt. It's not a huge difference, but there is definitely a difference there. So, you know, this is a very simple test. Just very rudimentary dicing. But out of the box, just knife to knife. If price wasn't a consideration, I would definitely choose the Zwilling Pro, just from, you know, the balance and the feel is the same, so they operate the same way. You know, if I'm driving them as a car, the car is driving the same way, but the smoothness of the Zwilling Pro definitely outperforms the Misen. So, feels nice. I would be happy to be using the Misen. It's a nice knife to use, but it just doesn't compare to the way in which this knife falls through that food. Okay, so there we have it. Comparison of the Zwilling Pro against the Misen chef knife. Maybe not the most fairest comparison of, you know, something with the kind of history and pedigree of this knife, but you know, I think Misen is doing a great job. You know, for a Chinese-made, you know, simply produced knife. I think they're doing a good job. So thank you to Misen for sending that to me. It's interesting to try new things, but I'm still 100% happy with my Zwilling Pro.